Just like in 2003, there are good people who oppose war, who support international law. And just like 2003, those people were smeared as puppets of a regime, traitors, and dangerous. The entire corporate media, the three-way uni party, Reform, the Tories and Labour, are getting aroused at more innocents being blown up. But there are a few good people. Unsurprisingly, Jeremy Corbyn said this: "Allowing British bases to be used in an illegal war of aggression is a catastrophic and historic mistake. Britain has been dragged into another war because our Prime Minister would rather appease Donald Trump than stand up for international law. War is not a game. This shameful decision makes Britain complicit in the devastating consequences ahead and jeopardises the safety of us all." Green Party leader Zach Palansky appeared on Laura Kuenssberg and said this.
Well, I think we need to listen to Iranian voices like Rana at the beginning of your programme, who said powerfully she's been waiting for this moment her entire life. We've seen the end of a brutal, murderous dictator. At the same time, though, I heard Rana say Iran is not free and, in fact, the world is no safer. I thought that was quite an astounding interview you just had with the Defence Secretary. We've seen what I would say is an illegal and unprovoked attack. In fact, Jeremy Bowen, the BBC's own international editor, said this is a war of choice. So we've got a Defence Secretary saying that diplomacy is the long runway we need, but he won't condemn Donald Trump when he attacks a country and assassinates its leader. That's the law of the jungle. That's an end to international law, and it's quite astounding that we have a Prime Minister that seems to be singularly incapable of standing up to Donald Trump and letting the UK stand on its own 2 feet. And I'm worried we're going to be pulled into another illegal war.
But if you think these strikes were illegal and you've condemned them, what is your alternative?
Well, the alternative is to listen to the Iranian people and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to foster calm in the region, to encourage...
The Iranian regime didn't listen to its own people. It killed many of its own people who wanted a different government. So why do you think that the Iranian regime, or what's left of it this morning, would listen to Western governments when they haven't for decades?
Well, this is why we need de-escalation in the region, and we're already seeing the conflict spread even wider. I don't have an easy answer on how we make peace and diplomacy and democracy in the region, but I do know that there's no example in history where you've bombed people to democracy. Putting airstrikes for regime change has never led an example where a country is better off afterwards.
But you say that there should be negotiation, you should listen to the Iranian people. I would ask you again, what would your alternative be? Clearly, you don't like it, but Israel and America made the calculation, it seems, it's very clear. If what it took was strikes to end a repressive regime, it was worth it. So what would your alternative be?
Well, I don't accept the presupposition of the question. I don't think it took strikes, because actually Iran were already at the negotiating table. Under President Obama, we saw progress with Iran. Donald Trump took them to the negotiation table, but it was clear it was totally bad faith, because they literally murdered the leader at the same time they were at the negotiation table.
But that leader murdered many of his own people just weeks ago. And if you look at the pattern of Iran over the years, yes, there have been negotiations, but the International Nuclear Watchdog, for example, has upbraided and reprimanded Iran on many occasions for breaking its rules. Iran's been supporting Russia against Ukraine. Iran has planned plots in this country too. So what earthly evidence do you have that Iran would have said, oh, OK, actually, we'll listen to you this time?
Well, I'm here in no way to defend the Iranian regime. I'm here to defend and speak up for the Iranian people.
But the question is, why do you think that negotiation could have been an option here? What evidence do you have of that when it's failed for decades?
Because the moment you've ruled out negotiation, you've accepted that you're going to war. And I don't think the British people want to see another war in that region. So the question becomes, how do you make diplomacy and negotiation work? Now, what I know is negotiation was happening. Whether it was working or not is a legitimate question. But I don't think the answer can be, it's not working, so we're going to bomb and kill them. The answer has to be, how do we work harder to make it work?
So this is a lie, by the way. She's saying, well, Iran isn't going to listen to you. They're not going to be involved in negotiations. They were literally in the middle of negotiations. They were literally negotiating when Khamenei was killed. And the US like, oh, let's get around the table now. I mean, what do you expect? You kill someone's leader. And by the way, I mean, whether we like it or not, to many people in Iran, you know, Khamenei was like the Pope to them. I mean, how are you going to have negotiations when you do that? But they were already in negotiations. And it's so funny to say, well, Iran doesn't listen to their own people, so why are they going to listen to the West? I mean, again, Laura Kuenssberg is earning hundreds of thousands of pounds per year. One of the most well-paid journalists. Can she not understand, okay, Authoritarian governments always suppress their own population. It doesn't mean that they don't listen to external forces, because guess what? External forces are more powerful, right? Iran will get around the table, as they already have, and they're more likely to listen to the West and the US, because the US and Israel have nuclear weapons. So they will see other countries as a threat. They won't see their own people as a threat. Like, just think about that. So the idea, well, they kill their own people, therefore they don't listen to anyone else, that's crazy. That's insane. But all of the accusations here are also true of Israel. So when are we bombing them? And it's very funny how Laura Koonsberg says, but what's your alternative? Well, at the moment, Zach Palansky is providing the only alternative, because the three-way uni party are saying we need to bomb. And Zach is saying maybe we need to negotiate. And by the way, look, there's no easy answers to this. But the answer isn't to do what has failed, just to go in and bomb this country. It doesn't work. Now, a video of Zach resurfaced showing his support for Iranian protesters under the Khamenei regime.
Last month, I attended a rally in Trafalgar Square where thousands of people attended around challenging the Iranian regime. These protests have sparked all across Iran and have become known as Woman, Life, Freedom. It was a cross-party rally, and there were lots of people not from parties there too. Amnesty International, Liberty, Munira Wilson from the Lib Dems spoke. I know Nadia Whittamy has supported, and James Cleverly has spoken recently in support too. It's really important that the Iranian people know that Britain is watching. Iran have interests internationally, they have a presence internationally, and they must answer internationally too. Now, it's always really important when we talk about other countries around the world that we do so with caution and with care. But the Iranian people are literally asking us to be their voice. No one should live a life where they are subject to abuse from their government. And the Iranian people are all entitled to democracy, to govern themselves, and the right to free expression and to assembly. This motion is calling on the Mayor and the Chair of the Assembly to write to the government to call on a halt on all of these executions. The motion is grimly amended because when we originally wrote it, it has a list of people who are up for execution. And very tragically, several of those have now been executed. This shows the urgency of the crisis that we are facing. And finally, I would say this as a non-party political point, but Caroline Lucas has co-sponsored political prisoners, Mohammed Gobadalou and Elham Modaresi. I would encourage any of us with contacts with MPs, whether in London or around the UK, to talk to our MPs and ask them to co-sponsor political prisoners too. The situation is dire. Please support this motion.
Now, that is supposedly evidence of Zach being a hypocrite. Where's the hypocrisy? He's entirely consistent. Once again, being against war does not mean you support the regime. Yet the cheerleaders of war want to make that exact dichotomy. They want to gaslight you into supporting regime change. They want to tell you, if you don't support the US being the world police, if you don't support striking people, if you don't support bombing children, then you must be a fan of the regime. They're not, but it's important for them to do that. So you're guilt tripped into basically supporting them. Now, this is what Piers Morgan said about Zach Palansky. Now, watching Zach Palansky spewing shockingly naive and delusional nonsense about Iran. God help us if he and his extreme left-wing Green Party ever win real power. He makes Corbyn look mainstream. Do you know what? I absolutely fucking despise Piers Morgan. He calls himself a centrist, right? But he's, in a way, similar to James O'Brien, Captain Hindsight. They'll say the right thing when it's like 2 years later. Piers Morgan, I've had loads of pro-Palestinian people on my channel. Yeah, that was after you basically covered for the Israeli government. I mean, the first question you asked for a good year and a half was, do you condemn Hamas? Well, not condemning Israel. Right? Same with James O'Brien. He was like, oh yeah, there is a genocide. Yeah, a bit fucking late, mate. This scumbag was against the Iraq War. Piers Morgan was against the Iraq War. He's now become even more right-wing, smearing Zach for taking a position that Piers himself had in 2003. Now, Matt Goodwin, the loser of the Gorton and Denton by-election, shockingly said this. Last 24 hours alone, we've learned the deputy leader of the Greens joined a protest in support of a regime that planned 20 terror plots against Britain, while their new spin doctor denied Jews were raped on October 7th. The Greens are a major threat to our country. I have to say, fuck these people. Fuck these human garbage people. Abby Wilkinson is the spokesperson for the Green Party, and she's been smeared in the Daily Mail because apparently she said no rapes happened on October 7th. According to Haaretz, an Israeli newspaper, and the UN, there's no evidence that rape took place. However, they also, conveniently, in the Daily Mail article, didn't include Abby Wilkinson's second half of the tweet, which she said, but there was one case of sexual abuse, and I believe her. When it comes to Mothin Ali, they're basically calling him a terrorist. They're saying that he supported October 7th. Now, apparently, the Greens are pulling in £1 million per month. And I mean this sincerely. They need to start suing these fucking bastards. Jeremy Corbyn didn't do it when he was Labour leader. And people lied about him every single day. And they did it because they knew there were no consequences. The Green Party need to stand with their elected representatives. They need to take people like Matt Goodwin, the little sly scumbag, to court, and these vile scumbags with their horrific lies. We can't act the same as when it came to Jeremy Corbyn and his leadership by just ignoring it, because the attacks will get worse as they rise in popularity. The Greens are nearing 20% in the polls. That's why the attacks are happening. Every single person supporting this war is supporting this. The Israelis bombed the Gandhi hospital in Tehran. These are nurses evacuating and transferring newborns to safety. I'm so especially disgusted today by people who had every available moment to applaud and celebrate the illegal assassination of Khamenei and assassinations of other Iranian leaders, but refuse to say anything about their tax dollars elected officials and news media are doing to Iranians. The majority of the victims, as far as we know, are children. Over 100 little girls, ages 7 to 12, were killed in a single US-Israeli airstrike on a school. And included in the tweet is this video. That was a baby in an incubator. Maya, I mean, how do we reject the sense of hopelessness? I mean, we're saying the same excuses with the same attacks against those who speak out, and it feels like a constant doom loop.
I think Zach Palansky is a great person to look at for this, because despite being someone that faces so much hatred from the media, like from the establishment, from mainstream media, from particularly, I'm an anti-Zionist Jew myself. I don't have the platform he has. The amount of vitriolic hate that I get from Zionists is horrific. I have so much love and space in my heart for him that every single time he's talking, you can see on his face that he comes from a place of compassion and love and kindness. And I think people should look at the way that he operates with so much dignity and so much respect and do something with it. The reason why I think that he has that much and that a lot of people manage to keep their positivity and their kindness is because they are actually doing something in their community, because they are actually educating themselves about things that are happening and what they could do to change it. And, you feel horrific about what is happening to Palestinian people. So you stop supporting Israel with buying their imports, with changing banks to ethical banks. There is so much that you can do in a day-to-day basis that kind of disrupts this. And I think it's focusing on action. When you read all this stuff and then you sit there and do nothing, you'll wallow in pity and just the horror of everything that is happening. But I think horrible things in the world have been happening for the longest time. Western interventionism isn't a new thing. Wars in which millions of people dying isn't a new thing. We just have such availability to information now. We can see everything that is happening anywhere in a way that we couldn't before. And I think that towing the line between consuming that and seeing the people doing good, seeing the fact that in that moment, someone decided to save that baby in the incubator. And I imagine it came at great you see the love in that situation. And then you think, what can I do to give these people what they need? And that's exactly, I keep coming back to him, but that's exactly what Zach Palansky is saying. His support is with the Iranian people. He is not coming at this politically, even though obviously it is political, but he is coming at this with, what can I do to help this situation? He comes at things with action. If you come at situations with action, if you look at the horrific things that are happening and you actually enact change in your community and, you know, just look for ways that you can help in your daily life. And all the people that like kind of tirelessly educate, like you guys here, you know, you work this around your daily lives. You go out of your way on a voluntary basis just to educate people and enact that social change. So many people do it, but it's so easy to just look at the horror of everything and not look at the people helping and advocating for change.
I mean, I definitely think that's true when it comes to like good and evil in the world. I think that most people are good, and as you see in times of crisis, people come together. The problem is systems, and it's those in power. They have that disproportionate power. In response to the smears, though, I mean, Mohsin Ali has received death threats, and a member of parliament, I think it was today actually, in the House of Commons, basically smeared him, and basically said he supports October 7th, and it caused Ellie Chowns, Green MP, to say this is, you know, a point of order. This is incorrect. I mean, I think the problem is that Jeremy Corbyn didn't sue anyone or threaten legal action. I genuinely think that needs to happen, because it's not about getting money off these people, but you've got Matt Goodwin and others just gleefully saying these lies. And of course, the implication here, he's Muslim, right? Oh, he's a Muslim, he hates this country. That's the implication. But if they feel like there's no consequences, they're going to keep on doing it. If you threaten legal action, I think people might think twice. So, but again, it's not about whether they get a victory or not. But I think there's that fear. If someone says, "I'm taking you to court now," and you get a letter in the post, I think at least people might think twice. At the moment, if you're just saying whatever you want and no one comes back, at least surely that's worth it to stop these genuinely horrible, disgusting people making lies. And again, Mohsin Ali has received death threats. I think these lies about him will do him harm. Absolutely.
It costs a lot to sue people. The Green Party does have a lot of money coming in. I'm a Scottish Green Party member because I live in Scotland. I don't know as much about the Green Party in England and Wales.
Yeah.
The pot of money that the right have is endless. Endless. The amount of money that the Green Party are getting is finite. It's amazing, but I don't know that they want to use that money. This is entirely speculation. I don't know that they want to use that money on suing when they could actually use that money on campaigning positively. I do think that suing would categorically help. I don't know how it would play out in real life.
Yeah, that is a good point. The right do have endless money, and I suppose, in a way, you'll use, and actually it could have the reverse effect. It could be, actually, this is great. Let's say more smears, because the more time and money they're spending on me and whoever is less money on canvassing. So maybe it's that.